I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit today about the poison plant myth. And we've grown up in a culture that teaches us that plants typically have no purpose for us. There's the hybridized garden variety and the ones you buy in stores, but most wild plants are dangerous and are only for experts to work with. And that is an entirely untrue concept and a fabrication of consumer capitalism. Wild plants have been used in the diet of human beings since the beginning of time. Animals consume solely wild food. And pre-civilized, and I don't mean civilized in a positive sense, earlier human beings made use of the cornucopia of plants available to them in order to feed themselves and to treat themselves when they were ill. So it's only been in the modern era that we've removed ourselves from the actual natural world and what it provides and gone to stores in hopes of purchasing something. And the foods that we have available to us in stores are so far removed from their wild counterparts that they don't even contain a lot of the same constituents. Wild lettuce, Lactuca canadense or Lactuca variola, has a lot of antioxidant components and sedative components in it. Lactucarium is one of them, that are nourishing for our body. And it's so bitter we wouldn't eat a lot of it. So hybridization typically picks a trait, like the crunchiness of romaine lettuce, and creates a plant almost indistinguishable from its wild relative. And this is for ease of consumption. You wouldn't eat 50 pounds of wild lettuce. Lactuca canadense is a little less bitter, but it wouldn't be a staple of your diet. It's pretty bitter. So we took out the bitter components, which are the healing components. Same with things like yarrow. The garden yarrow that people grow that are different colored tops has about an eighth of acalain in it. So the constituents are very, very watered down. So for the last 10 years of my life, I've begun attempting to rewild my knowledge base and incorporate more wild foods, to focus a lot on wild medicinal plants and remove a portion of my life from the consumer capitalist, monetary-based medical system and food system. And the truth about poisonous plants is that we've created in our mind this idea that all plants are out to get us, and that, as I said before, only experts can have the skill set to identify them. Anybody who can identify a turtle and a frog, both in the same aquatic category, could identify the difference between mugwort and motherwort. They could be seen as similar. They're both in a similar family, Lamiaceae. However, it's a skill set that's intrinsic to us as human beings. It's part of our undomesticated portion of our brain, and we forget that we have that. There's a great book called Original Wisdom that talks about the loss of indigenous knowledge. And this particular tribe in Malaysia believes that although less information is being passed down from generation to generation, the information is contained almost in the morphogenetic fields. It's never lost. It's always there to be rediscovered, but either genetically or morphogenetically, we're able to take in that information when we start to have new experiences related to whatever knowledge base is available to us. So just the act of learning some of the local plants in your area will awaken a part of you that has atrophied over time. When you start to incorporate wild foods into your diet, you see the changes that it has, not only in your cognitive framework, but your health. Nothing is more life-sustaining than directly consuming food. When you remove yourself from the food chain and from the natural process, you're dead, essentially. So, the poison plant myth says that all of these plants are here to poison us. we can't learn them, an expert is necessary. Not true. If you spend, once a week, you learn a new plant, you learn to identify that plant, you work with that plant, read all you can about it, consult people who have experience like myself, other herbalists or foragers, and slowly build your knowledge base like that through direct experience, not just by reading in a book. It's perfectly possible to be able to name the use and actually have experience with 80% of the plants in the area in 10 years. Absolutely possible, if you're driven to do such a thing. And if you are driven to do something of that sort, the result is a broader connection with nature, a better understanding of global ecology, and better health, because you can't possibly sustain your life and your energy and your well-being solely on hybridized domestic food. There's a component missing from our diet, and it's not, solely a plant-based diet, it's not an animal diet, it's not a paleo diet. Wild food is the missing component to health, in my opinion. Not a doctor, but in my experience in the last 10 years of doing this, wild food is what's made the difference between just eating a typically healthy diet and eating a diet that makes you vibrant and more aware and better able to deal with the world that you encounter, even when you're not in the wild. So I want to encourage you guys to spend time, find a plant, walk outside, and look it up. And then look for resources. You can ask me. My email's in the contact below. Ask local people in your area what a plant is. Get to know them. And you'll be called to certain plants. It doesn't have to be a particular medicinal or edible plant. Whatever calls to you, pick it, a small portion of it if it's in an area where you can do it, and look it up, understand it, and then maybe work with it once you feel comfortable knowing it. There's 2 to 3% of the plants in the world are deadly poisonous. And even the poisonous ones have a use in a quantity. All poisons are medicines, and all medicines are poisons. And the only difference is the amount in which you use. So there's use for even the most poisonous plants. For this area, pokeweed is a poisonous plant, also used medicinally for deep-seated bacterial and viral infections, traditionally. Poison hemlock, which I've never seen, and Cicuta, water hemlock. Conia maculatum is poison hemlock, and Cicuta is water hemlock, and I've seen quite a bit of water hemlock. But again, those plants are not there to scare you. So I don't think that starting from a place of finding the deadly plants first and then working on the safe plants is necessarily a good course. Picking a plant and researching it is not going to poison you. Most things are not dermally toxic, aside from poison ivy, and that you'll be able to find quite a bit of resources on how to identify that. But I want to encourage you to find some plants in your area, begin to work with and understand them, consult local experts, and become an expert yourself, because it's something that's doable. I just want to show you guys, even in the beginning of fall, because of all the rain we've had, we have an enormous amount of wild food available to us.